Hi, I'm Lone Candle. The key problem with the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, is that too many people are actually using this insurance. When people actually use their insurance to pay for medical care, the insurance companies can't make money. Obamacare insurance marketplaces serve a real need. There were groups of people who couldn't get or afford medical care, and the combination of subsidies that pays for much of the insurance and rules not allowing insurance companies to deny people based on pre-existing conditions, these two things allow these people to get and afford the medical care they need. The problem is, the Obamacare insurance pools have too many of these people and not enough healthy people who pay their premiums and don't use their insurance. The unhealthy to healthy ratio is too high. This means insurance companies lose money. The Obamacare plan was to use private companies to achieve a societal goal. A downside of doing that is private companies have one primary goal: making a profit. If conditions don't allow that, then the societal goal will be hampered. Insurance companies are losing money on Obamacare plans, so they respond by raising premiums, creating huge deductibles, negotiating narrow networks, and if none of this works, they leave that portion of the insurance business altogether. So arguably, Obamacare is trying to solve a real problem, but it's having difficulties because the problem was bigger than predicted. This key problem is part of a bigger problem, and that's that Americans pay way too much for health care, before and after the Affordable Care Act. Other developed countries pay way less than us for the same or better care. Why is this? Well, possibly the biggest reason is because other countries use price controls. Whether the government runs the healthcare providers, like hospitals, or whether the government has a single-payer system where there is one insurance company for everyone and it is run by the government, like Medicare for all, or whether it is an all-payer system where the government negotiates prices for medical visits, operations, and drugs, but private insurance companies still insure you. Either way, other countries have the government negotiate down medical prices. It's tough to say for sure why Americans pay so much for healthcare. There may be multiple reasons, but this seems to be the biggest one. Other countries force medical providers to lower their prices, and therefore the people can better afford it. Even if we get rid of Obamacare, the U.S. will still pay way more for healthcare, and any solution to America's healthcare problem is going to be way, way harder when our healthcare is so expensive. Maybe insurance companies could have made money in the Obamacare marketplaces if prices weren't so damn high. Now, moving to such a top-down approach would feel un-American. It is heavy government intervention, but the international community has shown that it works. It isn't ideal, but what we're doing now isn't working. I think the U.S. has to seriously consider moving to government-negotiated prices. This would require expert panels that set a top price for drugs and other medical care, and how these prices change over time. For example, new drugs would cost more than old drugs, and the prices of new drugs should lower over time. If a company comes out with a new drug that doesn't do much more than the old one did, then it should be priced pretty close to the old one. This way, drug companies can't rip us off when they play up a new drug that doesn't do shit more than the previous one. A lot of details would have to be figured out by Congress, and mostly by experts in the bureaucracy. And this is far from ideal. The government will make mistakes. Companies will make less money and therefore have less to invest in new ideas and technology. But the prices of healthcare are bankrupting our country, bankrupting many families and hurting and even killing many people who shy away from needed medical care due to prices. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan proposed a different solution. It's not clear to me that his Obamacare replacement actually fulfills his proposed solution, but that's a topic for another video. His basic ideas go in the opposite direction compared to what the rest of the developed world has done and has shown works. Instead of increasing the heavy hand of government, he decreases it. The theory is that if we can get medical decisions closer to patients and doctors, rather than insurance companies and governments, then people can make smart decisions and this will lower overall prices. Basically, he wants the healthcare market to operate like other markets. Competition and people buying the best service and product is what makes capitalist free markets great. This gives sellers the incentive to produce the best product and to innovate to produce awesome new ones that people want. If something like this could work, that'd be awesome. But I'm skeptical. For a free market to work, the quality of products has to be transparent, and people have to have the ability to rationally decide what will serve them best. When I'm having a heart attack, I want to be brought to the nearest and best doctor possible. Damn the cost! I'm not fucking shopping at a market. I just want someone to save my life. The human body, ailments, and the variety of treatments and procedures are tremendously complicated. The idea that most people will be able to understand this and make smart decisions is a fantasy. This is not a normal free market. The majority of healthcare expenses are used by a minority of people, a minority that are really sick and don't die instantly. These people aren't in the greatest condition to shop around and won't really know what's needed even if they could. Because it is this minority that uses so much of the healthcare resources, forcing me to shop around to get a mole checked out isn't going to make much of a difference. Those areas where competition may have some ability to lower prices are probably too small a percentage of healthcare spending to have more than a marginal impact. So I'm skeptical that the free market is going to save us on this one. And I'm afraid we need government price controls. There's an argument that drug companies and other healthcare providers wouldn't do the research necessary to create great medical technologies without ridiculous prices. This would mean that the U.S. is subsidizing the rest of the world. Other countries force companies to receive smaller incomes while we pay up big time. Now, it isn't clear that this argument is correct. Even with negotiated prices, companies could make a lot of money, and they'd probably still have the proper incentive to invest. But I can't confirm that this isn't true. So price controls would have to gradually reduce the prices until they reached a fair level, and we'd need to monitor the effects. If it's true that if the U.S. simply controlled prices like the rest of the world, then companies would have no incentive to invest, then the rest of the world is ripping us the fuck off. Of all the bullshit things Trump complains about us losing at, this would be one of the biggest and would actually be real. In this scenario, we'd need to negotiate with other countries how much we all pay so that healthcare companies could make enough money to invest, and so that not just one country, us, is bearing the entire burden. Or governments would have to fund more research themselves. But this isn't ideal because a variety of private investors choosing different ideas to research is probably better than mostly relying on governments. Some of the profit-motivated investors may take on good ideas that the government wouldn't invest in. The idea that companies would significantly reduce investing because the U.S. controls pricing is not a fact like lots of people claim. It's just a plausible idea, but one that we'd have to monitor and explore if we went with price controls. There are plenty of other smaller problems with the Affordable Care Act and its implementation, but I think too many people actually needing this insurance is a crucial difficulty, one made much worse by our expensive healthcare system. Well, I'm Lone Candle. Like me, come at me, love me.